Welcome, listeners and video watchers, to the Squeaky Wheel. This is our first podcast of the Metis podcast for conversation and discussion. I'd like to welcome my co-host, Mr. Lawrence Gervais. Lawrence, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born and raised in Prince George, British Columbia. So anybody knows where that is. That's the central interior, kind of smack dab in the nowhere part of British Columbia, surrounded by trees, very isolated community, but a very fun way to grow up. 80,000 people. You're right beside the river. It was fantastic. It's a very mill-oriented town. Both my parents are from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and immigrated to British Columbia in the 70s, and that's where I was born. And then I was raised in Metis housing. So we had the typical Saturday night kitchen parties, to fiddle players, to hunting moose, to doing all those fun things as a kid. And knowing we were Metis, we just didn't wave flags or wear sashes or anything like that. But we knew we were Metis, of course. So that was the community I grew up in.
Whereas, folks, I'm Captain Ross Pangren. So you have the president and the captain. I was actually born in Germany. My father was in the military, and our families have known each other for quite a long time. So I come from a Métis and sort of a English background. And currently I am the CEO of the Memphis Group. This wonderful opportunity to chair this podcast with the president, Lawrence Gervais. And I also, am a professional fire officer. And I'm sure at some point it'll come around as to who that is for. So just want to connect with everybody about what the format is for our little adventure here. I think we're going down a route where we're creating an opportunity for people not to just listen to us, but also to see us. So we will be talking generally about coffee and or tea, depending on how it serves us. We will discuss current issues. We're going to bring in some Métis connections and how it influences community and education. Hopefully let you know how to connect with us and who our guests will be as we move through this journey together, what to expect in our future broadcasts, and to close us out, what our latest rant or review might be, which is a tough time because sports is not on that list. Now, Mr. Gervais, is it all right if I talked about who we're drinking today?
Sure, absolutely. What are we drinking today?
I want to know your opinion. So today we are drinking coffee from the 521 Fire Roasters. They're artisanal Calgary coffee producer. And it's funny, I do know who the owner is. And the interesting thing that comes out of conversation with 521 Roasters is the first thing people often ask him or his father is, how tall are you? And when he explained that to me, 521 represents how they explain how tall they are. They are 5 foot 21 inches. And I think because they've had the question so many times, it's really characterized their response to individuals who ask this. So you'll have to do the math on that one. But yes, these gentlemen are extremely tall, but it is a very fine roast.
So that would make me about 3'2", I think. No, 3 foot 21. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think you're probably about 3 foot 21. 3 foot 20 with about maybe another half or a couple of coffee beans in height. So
well, it depends on the shoes you're wearing too, and cowboy boots and stuff, right?
That's true. During the stampede time, I do tend to be about 4 or 5 coffee beans taller, thanks to the heels of my boots. So moving into current issues. Now, I think we all know there's a pandemic going on. Can you talk about the programs that are available?
Well, I mean, since the pandemic started in, March 12th, we closed our office within that week. There was not a lot available at that time. But through, negotiations with Canada, they were the first to really respond to any of the action that we proposed. and we were able to procure about $7.5 million. Now, the money didn't come in right away, so the Métis Nation of Alberta had to sort of look into their bank accounts, into the line of credit to start the ball rolling. So the first programs they launched was an emergency child wellness program. So that was $500 per child, 0 to 12 years, for a maximum of $2,500 per household. That program is still continuing on since late March. And then we had the the emergency rent supplement program. So through our housing area, we're able to provide rental relief, payments of $1,000 per month for 3 months, in an emergency. And then we are also, each region, there's 6 regions in the province, we're given $200,000 to provide services in child, sort of families, seniors, citizens support program. So what that meant was we're able to offer $500 to individuals who've experienced loss of income, who've experienced, like, due to COVID, everything has to be due to COVID, and they still got to prove that they've lost their income. And then we're able to supplement them with $500. And just recently, about 2 weeks ago, there was a phase 2 announced. So we're offering more support for businesses. We got an extra $300,000 for our citizens. So we've given to seniors that are supportive of Region 3 and volunteering, and we have a small list. We're able to give them $300 each. Grocery cards, like, there's so many things that are happening within the M&A, but very limited, per sense that we have 40,000 citizens in this province, and we can't really reach all of them. So we really have to narrow down the guidelines until we get more money to come in to support them. So this pandemic it's just turned us right around, so.
I by no means think our office was any different than any other office, that this snuck up on everybody. I think what one of the important messages is, and definitely was picking it out from there, is that we're still in phase 1 of trying to sort out the individuals out there who do require assistance. And I get it. I agree. There's probably a lot of people who don't, but hopefully this is one more tool that you and I are using to reach out to individuals to say, here are some of the programs. We're still in phase 1, but we're supporting rent for individuals who require it. There's opportunities for the children, for the seniors, for individuals regarding who have lost their jobs, who have had those challenges. And then now we're starting to see the relationship with business, because everybody, including myself, we're starting to see changes in operations regarding business.
Yeah. And also, we can't remember can't forget the youth either. So now we do have a program, part of the phase 2. So you're for 13 to 18-year-olds. We are providing assistance there. So it's $250 per month for a 3-month period, May, June, and July. If youth out there that want to apply, it's youthbenefit@metis.org. They can just go there and email them and get the application process going. And then we were providing Chromebooks to all of our children in school also. And then that program just got fully utilized from Rupert Stein Institute. So there's no more Chromebooks left. So if people have a special request, we're accepting those applications at Region 3 currently. So if there's a student that needs a Chromebook, please apply. Our email is connect@metis3.org. So if people are wanting to come and see, and I'm sure you're going to flash this on the screen somewhere, so people can see it. But yeah, they'll see our contact.
Yes, I think that we've already jumped ahead, which is because you've done your due diligence of sorting out this format. Yes, under the Métis connections. So I've picked up youthbenefit@metis.org, and that anything that ends in metis.org, folks, is that tends to be a bit more provincial, whereas we're directing the work that we're doing down here, as you can see on the screen here, Lawrence had mentioned, connect at metis3.org. You can ask any question about any program, and they will send you the information in order to continue the conversation, because this journey through this challenging time is different for everybody. And I think it's important that I think our office, Lawrence, has done a great job of using this or starting this tool, but we also have the website. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, actually, the website was always a comment that a lot of members had, specifically here in Region 3, about communication and getting communication out to our members on a very consistent level was always the plan of attack that we've had here. But due to COVID, we're able to actually open that doorway into developing a website and a communication strategy, however that'll look in the future. But now the website is primarily focused on getting COVID information out to our members, links to other programs, and information that's going right across the homeland in Canada here, so people understand what everybody else is doing, so we're all on the same level. And that's really the whole point of a website, is to have current communication, and anybody has anything that's happening that people will know. So.
Well, and I think it's one more tool. It was interesting that I read an article recently about the seniors, and let's also include the elders in there, because we can often utilize the two terms together. But those populations who were resistant to a certain aspect of banking and business connection online, they've seen an 80% jump in that population utilizing that tool. And I think we've done a great job of making sure that we're connecting with our youth. And I think by having the office always available, having you always available for your coffee time whenever anybody wants to have a meeting with you, that I'm hoping that we start to utilize that website tool a little bit stronger. And hopefully we start to steer our elders and our seniors towards these programs, that they can find the information. Because though the door has always been open at our front office in the Northeast, if it's difficult to share the exact same message depending on who the individual who walks in is. But now if they go to the website, they can see the information firsthand for themselves. So folks, when you decide you want to ask a question specifically for Lawrence or for myself regarding, probably more Lawrence, of the programs that are available, you can reach out to us at any time. As you can see on the screen here, tsw@metis3.org. That's tsw@metis3.org. So, and you can also find that contact information on our website. And again, I can't stress enough the opportunity that the website, this tool, is for people to to connect with us. So let's talk social media, Lawrence. What impact does that have within our organization?
Well, we find, social media is a little bit of a tough, in a sense that, you really rely on a post, but then people comment, and sometimes the inaccuracies are there too. So it's sometimes a little bit tougher to kind of maintain that element. But it's sometimes good for those comments, sometimes for positive feedback, and the negative, sometimes people will interject and say, no, this is the situation, right? But it's social media, sometimes the control of it sometimes just to get a little bit off. So that was why we really wanted to get the website going, this podcast, so then people can actually hear from any of the leaders or anybody the pertinent information that's coming out, and that's certainly viable. Our Facebook group, we have about close to 2,000 members now. We do quite well on reaching in our Facebook, but we sort of have to look at other venues to think about. I've been gifted a very good LinkedIn profile, so I do post quite a bit of stuff there. that's pertinent there. And then looking at what other social media platforms may be. So if it's Instagram or if it's, something like that where it's fun and kitschy, but also getting the message out. I think that's important. Twitter, we don't have those things yet, but we'll be looking to it. And then also finding somebody who can actually maintain the message too. We're all we're a political organization. A lot of us aren't social media savvy or communication coordinators, so we kind of jump in there and do it ourselves. So that's the tough part. Yeah.
Now, that being said, social media with that guitar behind you probably means that you have some experience being in front of people, because
A little bit.
there's a couple of things, and I'm hoping they change week by week, just so it gives us a chance to peel back the onion on Lawrence Gervais. But I do see that there's a couple of things behind you. For example, the somewhat herringbone all the way around that beautiful guitar. What are we looking at back there?
Well, that's my Martin rosewood back guitar. I love it. That was me. I was a classical ballet dancer for about 17 years. That's a picture of me from the Alberta Ballet. And then this is a book that's Northwest is Our Mother from Jean Taillé. It's an incredible book about Métis history in Canada. So, and then I also keep nice salt lamps around me to keep good energy going. So, and then of course the reminder of our flag. Some people have a contested version of this, but yeah.
Yeah, you've covered all four corners very nicely. What I consider the four corners of Lawrence Gervais. Now, I also wanted to talk a little bit about, because this is our first episode, and between you and I coming up with the strategies, the ideas of what we were going to do, how did we ever come up with the squeaky wheel?
Well, the squeaky wheel is always, somebody who they call them the complainer, right?
Yeah.
But
so
I think, our squeaky wheel version is, of course, the Red River cart.
Right.
And how they would hear them from miles away because they never used any grease on them or nothing. There's just wood on wood, right? And they would squeak consistently, which is one reason why you won't see a Red River cart in the Calgary Stampede anymore, because it's too loud, right? So maybe one day we'll do it, and then it'll just attract attention, and all the animals, I'm sure, in the neighborhood will start popping up. But yeah, definitely, it's the squeaky wheel. It's what we're known to be. So yeah.
I always, when we finally decided on a name, I enjoyed the double entendre. The fact that you and I are both squeaky wheels regarding what's happening within the Métis community, but I also did love the idea of the Red River cart and the idea that wheel keeps turning. And somehow we were having a conversation the other day about circling the wagons, and I get that it's probably about protection. When you're creating sort of a safety net for yourself for setting up camp for the night. But one thing I've never quite understood, and I don't know if you even know the answer to this one, is every time we have any kind of meeting and everybody gets the opportunity to talk, we always go in a clockwise position. Do you know why that is?
Well, I think it's kind of the indigenous natural law to move in a clockwise way, right? I mean, I don't know what that actually means, but
That might
I've
be our first guess to try and who can answer that question of why we always go in a clockwise motion.
I think in ceremonies, I think it is predominantly moving in a clockwise direction, and it maybe the planet kind of rotates on that angle. It's probably a lot of things having to do with nature that us city folk don't quite understand. And we need to sit in a ceremony to find that answer out. So.
Even for us to get all the answers, absolutely. Now, before we may jump back to a couple of small things, this is our chance where we sort of get to that point in the conversation where we review or rant something. And this, I think we need to keep it relative to what's happening right now. it's easy to say we can't talk about hockey, we can't talk about basketball, we can't talk about baseball, we can't talk about, but right now, I find in my family, in the relationships that I have, the one of the biggest challenges is just going to the grocery store, just trying to create a sense of safety. Who enrages you? And I know we talked about this, not just you. How do we deal with those people out there who don't seem to care?
Well, I mean, they're probably the slower people. You can spot them right away, looking at labels and reading every detail.
Yeah, the
Versus people just going in and grabbing stuff as you go along, right? I
yeah,
mean, and then of course, people just don't understand distance sometimes, and that's during a pandemic like this, and you never know who's carrying the virus.
yeah.
That you don't need the person that's reading the label may be carrying it. You don't know, right? So you just have to make a list, go in A to B, and that's it. Just go home and be safe and wear a mask, and that's predominantly it. Wash your hands, and we all know the story. It was stuff that was kind of taught to us since kindergarten, how to wash your hands, and people are starting to realize, oh yeah, maybe I should be doing that. But
Well, and that's one of the things I found was that you'll see a lot of places that and who are in the food business, and they got big signs that stress our employees wash their hands. Well, I think to
yeah,
myself, well, I hope they were washing their hands the last time before all of this happened. I hope they were washing their hands. I think we're all reacting to um, try and make sense of it. And I think as a result of that, as we make new posters, as we come up with new ideas, it's very easy to be critical of other people's actions or any information that other people write or even talk about. And I guarantee, even in this podcast today, there's going to be somebody who's going to have picked out one word that they feel, oh, they're very surprised either you or I said that. But I can guarantee you, folks, that my intention with this is to really want to allow you and I to have a fun coffee conversation that gives a bit of direction of what our format's going to be, and so that people listen to this because they're enjoying the fact that we're enjoying ourselves.
yeah,
We will often get into the conversation, or you and I, when we'll sometimes play music together, as to why do I play music, or for myself, why do I have a band? Well, I have a band because if I'm having a good time, I'm hoping everybody else is. And if I'm not having a good time, why would I be doing it? So if I can play music and watch people dance, every time I play music, it's like my Saturday night. So I want to see that same energy for myself as well as all the people out there. And we're all on this big ship moving forward together. I'm hoping that we all, accept each other for who we are and enjoy the ride. Um, Anything else you'd like to try and rehash, Lawrence? I know we're going to try.
well, I think what we should probably talk about what's in your room there. So you got some sort of Darth Vader looking hat over there on the door.
Well, as a matter of fact, so yes, and folks, I've even had this discussion with some of the people for whom I work for. But yes, I actually am a City of Calgary fireman, and though it seems inappropriate to hang my current fire hat there was a number of years ago I was in Russia, and that is a Russian fire helmet that was given to me, oddly, along with a flask of vodka. But that's a Russian fire helmet, and I just sort of keep it around to remind myself of some of the neat opportunities I've had. Above my left shoulder there is a prairie picture because, as you mentioned, your family having spent some time up in Meadow Lake, that's exactly where my dad came from. So the prairies mean a lot to my heart, and having a military soldier father that's took us over to Europe a number of times, in which case I was born there. Maybe the Johnny Cash in him is what also instilled him to want to become a bit of a musician, and he instilled the same thing in me. So that beat up old Larrabee L9 is mine that I use a lot. And over that, beside the guitar head there is Telecanard, because he just holds my remote controls. And he's had a long time relationship in my house, so I have trouble parting with him. And it's a little bit hard to see, but my sash hangs back there as well. So yes.
So if people want to email Ross about the telecanard comment, I'm sure he'll post his email address here, right? So
Yeah, you'll be able to find both Lawrence and I if you want to have questions about the stuff that's in our room. No, thank you for asking. So
yeah.
folks, again, some of the things that I really want to hit on again is that this is your opportunity. You know, Lawrence and I are going to rant about things as they come up, but if you have specific questions, if you want to know something about the Métis people, we, or specifically me, is constantly learning. And we'd love to be able to share that little part of it in our spot of Métis Connections. We want you to connect with us, tsw at métis3.org, as you can see up there. And this fine gentleman, Mr. President Lawrence Gervais, that I get a chance to sit with, I always enjoy our conversations.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, any opportunity we have to connect with our members, our office is currently closed, but we're here. I mean, we're online. We're not going anywhere. Even though it looks like I've constructed a studio, I'm still in my basement of my house, right? So yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
And I know as we move forward with our program, I would rather be sitting across the table from you. And I know that that's our direction that we always plan to be headed. And yeah, though, thank you to Zoom who's created such wonderful equipment that, funny story, yesterday, my wife, who uses Zoom because she works at the hospital, she had contacted me earlier and said yesterday and saying she was having trouble with her screen. Well, she has to present to about 20 different surgeons, radiologists, all sorts of high-level physicians. And she asked me in a text saying she was having all those problems. Well, so I immediately reached out to her and I said, well, what kind of trouble are you having? Well, she wanted to put one of those backgrounds that looked like Las Vegas behind her, and she was having trouble making it work. This was the emergency she was having at 6:50 in the morning. That's when I came to realize, yes, everybody has an emergency. It's how do we respond to it? So I gave her the direction. But yes, I do like your room, and I've liked having this opportunity to talk to you today. But I do look forward to when we're actually sitting in our little studio together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a space here to put all of the numerous awards I've received in my life.
It'll be very small ledge. It'll be a very small ledge behind me. Probably just a picture of my cat or something like that. But
yeah.
Yes, so I'm going to bid everybody adieu. Thank you very kindly for this conversation. Auf Wiedersehen. And Lawrence, do you have anything you'd like to say to close out?
No, I mean, everybody just stay safe, till we see you guys again. I wish everybody luck. You guys are going to probably see me more often, hopefully, just by doing this Zoom podcast. Until we actually get into a nice studio and we're sitting across from one another, and you guys will see that Ross is actually significantly smaller than me. So
this is the illusion of television. I'm pretty sure at some point, Lawrence, we'll have to go back to back just to prove people that we're pretty much the same height. Yes, it's a very important message. And honestly, this is one of those messages we should probably close out on every time right now, especially because the city of Calgary just extended their state of emergency for another 90 days. Yeah. So though they can cancel that earlier, they've at least created the opportunity for it. So if you can do your part, folks, please do your part. Be a part of the physical distancing. Be a part of the social distancing.
Yeah,
I think.
And maybe that's something we can talk about later on too, is the cancellations and the effect on the community of these cancellations. Yeah. Métis people are known to gather together and be together, right? And especially over the summer, it's tough when we're this far away,
Oh, it certainly is.
Yeah.
We'll close it out there, and we'll talk to you again, folks. Talk to you soon. Thank you.